ドイツワイン最高。今回は音楽の都ウィーンからお伝えいたします。皆さん11月といえばですね、日本もそうですけど新酒の季節ですね。オーストリアのウィーンにはホイリゲという伝統的な新酒の文化があります。この歴史的な背景も含めて今回は現地の作り手さんヴィーニンガーさんとのインスタライブの模様をお伝えいたします。このチャンネルはドイツワイン、そしてオーストリアワインの最高、いい情報をですね、皆さんにどんどんお届けするためにお伝えをしております。いいなと思った方はチャンネル登録、そしていろんな方にぜひシェア、拡散をお願いいたします。コメントもお待ちしておりますので、ぜひどし送ってください。それでは今回は音楽の都ウィーンへ行ってらっしゃい。Oh, hallo, Fritz.
Hallo. Hallo, schöne Grüße aus Wien. I'm in the vineyard at the Nussberg.
It's the same.
It is next to the Danube.
Yes,
In a Gemischter
Danube.
Satz vineyard. Ried Gollin is this here. It's just a few degrees above zero. Very
yes.
typical November. It's cold, it's wet, or at least very humid. It's actually more weather you like to stay home. And due to the soft lockdown, due to Corona, we stay home anyway. And probably starting next week, we really have to stay home and cannot get out anymore. Well,
Yes.
let's see.
Wow. Yes.
Wiener Heuriger 2020.
Yes, 2020.
I have a very cute little house here in the middle of the vineyard, and I am well prepared.
Ja, auf schöne Heuriger. Zum Wohl.
Zum Wohl, and this is zum Wohl to everybody. And a very warm hello from Vienna with Wiener Heuriger 2020. Zum Wohl. Prost.
Zum Wohl.
Ried Jungenberg is the vineyard's name. Yes, Traminer is like the pepper on a fresh leaf salad. This is important to have. Just a bit, but it has to be part of it. Last years we used different vineyards. This year was a little later. The summer was cooler, so we decided to go for one of the earlier vineyards, one of the warmer sites, such as Jungenberg. Jungenberg was one of the vineyards we harvested very early, almost first, and that developed the way and finished fermentation in the first moment, or as the first. So we decided to go for this vineyard this year. Gemischter Satz is the typical wine of the Vienna wine region. It is always a mixed planting of different grape varieties. It has to be by the law a minimum of 3, but there can be also 5 or 10 or 15. It is only limited by the number of grape varieties in the Qualitätswein register. Here it is 8 different varieties. When we plant today, a Gemischter Satz is always between 8 and 12, something like this. According to the vineyard site, we make a variation of different percentages of the different grape varieties. Whatever we want, or whatever I want, I can decide completely free what I plant. The only really important thing is that the number 1 grape variety does not exceed 50%, and the number 3 variety has to be in this mix in a minimum of 10%. This is the only regulation. Later, everything has to be harvested at the same time, all together, and then it counts as a Wiener gemischter Satz. I explain it more with music, because Vienna is a very musicious country or city. We have the world famous Wiener Philharmonic Orchestra, and of course I love to compare it with instruments. And one of my older colleagues one day explained to me, you know, Fritz, you have to understand, one variety is like one instrument, and a Wiener gemischter Satz is like the whole orchestra. This is the real music from Vienna. One single variety is stronger in its expression of the varietal character, and in case of the gemischter Satz, because there is different characters in one wine, these varietal characters step back one step, and the terroir, which is the soil, but not only the soil, also the microclimate and so on, steps for me at least one step to the front. This is also a reason for me that a gemischter Satz does not change over the years as much as a single varietal wine, because it's not so strong affected by the changes of the vintages. It is more expressed by the terroir, and the terroir never changes. Heuriger actually is the wine that is mainly served at the Heurigers, these restaurants that are run by the winemaking families. You can say Prost or Zum Wohl starting when it's blessed by a priest or by the church, and this happens every year at the 11th of November. So actually you can drink it before, but you are not allowed to say Prost or Zum Wohl. And starting with the 11th of November, the new vintage is out and allowed not just to sell, but also to say Prost. And the last vintage would be allowed until the end of the year, and then it's only the new vintage that is allowed to sell. So, well, right now we have the tradition around the 11th of November to eat goose. Goose with red cabbage and potato dumplings. This would go. I could imagine to drink this with the goose, but Wiener Heuriger is very open. You can pair it with a lot of different dishes, especially with dishes that are a little bit more fat, such as pork, because the acidity and the freshness of the wine takes the fat away and lets it taste less fatty, the goose or the pork, no matter what. And the acidity of the wine is also softened by the fat of the pork or the goose.
Have you ever ate tempura in Japan? No?
Yes.
That means fat of tempura is also...
Absolutely. This fits for sure very good.
Which Hoilige do you prefer? The best Hoilige in Vienna?
Well, this is a very tricky question for me. Of course, I like my own very much, and I love Wiener Heuriger. Not only my own one, also from my different colleagues, almost everybody produces one. But Wiener Heuriger has to be grown 100% in Vienna and not in the Weinviertel or somewhere else.
フリッツ・ヴィーニンガーさんでした。ありがとうございました。Thank you, Fritz. Yeah. We are
You're
looking
welcome.
forward to visit. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye
Stay
bye.
healthy and stay strong ね。
Thank you. I will
Thank
try.
you. Yeah. で、この放送はですね、オーストリア、そしてドイツのワインをですね、もう一度日本のトップシーンに盛り上げるという、この崇高な思いで、ドイツワイン、オーストリアワインの最高ということでやっております。この意思に共感いただける方ですね、共犯者を私はもう大体募集中でございますので、いいなって思った人は、ぜひシェア、拡散よろしくお願いします。